On our anniversary, my husband said, "I forgot. Can we celebrate next month?" I said, "Sure." Then I posted a video of me returning his gift for store credit. He saw it before I got home. Before starting the video, please like and subscribe our channel for more videos. Let's start. I'm not the kind of person who expects fireworks on anniversaries. I've always thought of them as a nice excuse for a good meal, maybe a small gift, but nothing over the top. Daniel, my husband, used to be the same way. Or at least, that's what I thought. We'd been together for 7 years, married for 5, and in that time, we'd settled into a comfortable routine. We were the couple who laughed at the idea of relationship goals on Instagram, who rolled our eyes at grand gestures and public declarations, or so I believed. This year, though, I wanted to do something a little special. Not because I needed to prove anything, but because I'd noticed Daniel seemed tired, worn down by work, by life, by the endless grind of adulthood. I thought maybe a thoughtful gift would remind him that we were still us, that we could still surprise each other. So, I saved up for months and bought him a watch he'd been eyeing online. A sleek, understated piece, the kind he'd never buy for himself. I even had it engraved. For all our time together, and all the time to come, I kept it hidden in my closet, wrapped in the kind of box that makes you feel like you're holding something important. I imagined the look on his face when he opened it. I imagined us laughing about how sappy I'd gotten. I imagined a lot of things. The morning of our anniversary, I woke up early. Daniel was already in the shower, humming some song I didn't recognize. I made coffee, set out his favorite mug, and waited for him to come into the kitchen. When he did, he looked surprised to see me up. "Hey," he said, rubbing his eyes. "You're up early." "Happy anniversary," I said, trying to sound casual. He blinked, then smiled, but it was the kind of smile you give when you're trying to remember if you left the stove on. "Oh, right. Happy anniversary, babe." I laughed, thinking he was joking. "You didn't forget, did you?" He grinned, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Of course not. I thought we could do something special next month, you know? When things aren't so crazy at work. Maybe take a weekend trip." I felt my heart drop, just a little. "Next month?" He nodded, pouring himself coffee. "Yeah, today's I have that big meeting, and I'm behind on a few things. I want to celebrate properly, not just squeeze it in." I tried to hide my disappointment. "Sure." Next month he kissed my forehead, grabbed his bag, and left for work. The door closed with a soft click, and I stood there, the gift box still hidden in the closet, feeling a little foolish. I spent the morning trying to shake off the disappointment. I told myself it was fine, that he was busy, that we'd celebrate later. But every time I walked past the closet, I felt a pang. I'd put so much thought into that gift, into making the day special, and now it just felt pointless. I called my best friend, Mia, hoping for a distraction. "He forgot, didn't he?" she said, not even bothering to hide her annoyance. "He says he wants to celebrate next month," I replied, trying to sound casual. Mia snorted. "You spent weeks planning that gift. You even got it engraved. You deserve better." I laughed, but it was hollow. "It's just a day, right? It's not just a day. It's your day. You should do something for yourself." After we hung up, I sat at the kitchen table, staring at the gift. I thought about all the times I'd put Daniel first, all the times I'd let things slide because he was busy. I thought about the watch, the engraving, the way I'd imagined his face lighting up when he saw it. And then, almost without thinking, I grabbed my phone and started recording. I set up my phone on the counter, the little blue box in front of me. I took a deep breath, trying to steady my voice. Hey everyone. So today is my 5th wedding anniversary. I bought my husband this watch. He's been wanting it for months. I even got it engraved. But he forgot. Or, well, he wants to celebrate next month. So I've decided to do something different. I opened the box, showing the watch to the camera. This is a really nice watch. But you know what's nicer? Doing something good for someone else. So I'm going to return this for store credit and donate the money to a local shelter. Maybe someone there needs a reminder that time can heal, or that they deserve something special too. I closed the box, feeling a strange sense of relief. Happy anniversary to me, I guess. I ended the video, uploaded it to my Instagram and TikTok, and tagged the shelter. I didn't think much of it. I just wanted to do something that felt right, something that made the day mean something. By the time Daniel got home, the video had started to pick up steam. My phone was buzzing with notifications, likes, comments, shares. People were tagging their friends, leaving messages like, "You go girl," and "This is the energy we need in 2025. Daniel walked in, looking tired. "Hey, how was your day?" I shrugged. "It was fine." "How was work?" He dropped his bag by the door. "Long. I'm starving. What's for dinner?" I almost laughed. "I didn't cook. I figured we'd just order in." He nodded, not noticing anything different. He didn't ask about the gift, didn't mention the anniversary again. I watched him scroll through his phone, oblivious to the storm brewing online. After dinner, I checked my phone again. The video had gone viral. Thousands of views, hundreds of comments. People were sharing their own stories of forgotten anniversaries, of feeling unappreciated, of taking their power back. I felt a mix of pride and guilt. I hadn't meant to make a statement. I just wanted to do something for myself. As I was getting ready for bed, Daniel came into the bedroom, his face pale. He was holding his phone, staring at the screen. "Did you post a video today?" he asked, his voice tight. I nodded, suddenly nervous. "Yeah. I returned your gift." He looked at me, hurt and confused. "Why would you do that?" I met his gaze, my heart pounding. "Because I needed to do something for me." He didn't say anything. He just stood there, the silence stretching between us, heavy and uncertain. The next morning, I woke up to the sound of my phone vibrating on the nightstand. At first, I thought it was my alarm. But when I reached for it, I saw a flood of notifications. My video had gone from a few hundred views to tens of thousands overnight. There were comments from strangers, messages from old friends, even a few DMs from people I hadn't spoken to since college. Some were supportive, some were nosy, and a few were just there for the drama. I scrolled through the comments, half awake, half dreading what I might find. Most people were cheering me on. "This is what self-respect looks like. You deserve better. Normalize returning gifts for store credit." There were stories from women and men who'd been in similar situations, forgotten anniversaries, unappreciated efforts, partners who always seemed to have something more important to do. But there were also the skeptics. "This is just for attention. Bet she's making money off this. Why air your dirty laundry online?" I tried not to let those get to me, but it's hard not to feel exposed when your private disappointment becomes public property. Daniel was already gone when I got up. He'd left a note on the kitchen counter. Had to go in early. We'll talk tonight. No, love you. No, happy anniversary. Just a scribbled message next to an empty coffee mug. I stared at it for a long time, wondering if he'd seen the video, if he was angry, embarrassed, or just indifferent. I spent the day in a strange haze, half watching the numbers climb on my phone, half trying to focus on work. My boss called me into her office around noon. She closed the door, looked at me with that mix of concern and curiosity that only a manager can pull off. "I saw your video," she said, her voice gentle. "Are you okay?" I nodded, not trusting myself to say more. She smiled. "If you need to take the day, or a few days, just let me know. And for what it's worth, I think you did the right thing." I thanked her, feeling a wave of relief. At least someone in my real life understood. By lunchtime, the video had been picked up by a local news outlet. They messaged me, asking for a comment, maybe even an interview. I declined, not wanting to turn my marriage into a spectacle. But the story was out there now, and there was no pulling it back. That afternoon, Mia called. "You're famous," she said, half laughing, half serious. "You're all over my feed. Even my mom sent me your video." I groaned. "This is not what I wanted." "Maybe not, but it's what you needed," she replied. "You finally stood up for yourself." People see that I wanted to believe her, but all I felt was exposed. I hadn't planned any of this. I just wanted to do something that felt right in the moment. Now, I was the main character in a story I hadn't meant to write. When I got home that evening, Daniel was waiting for me. He was sitting at the kitchen table, his phone in front of him, the screen still lit up with my video. He didn't look up when I walked in. "So, this is what we're doing now? Broadcasting our problems to the world?" I set my bag down, trying to keep my voice steady. "I didn't mention your name. I didn't say anything bad about you." He finally looked at me, his eyes tired. "You didn't have to. Everyone knows. My coworkers saw it. My mom called me in tears. Do you have any idea how humiliating this is?" I felt a flash of anger. "Humiliating for you? What about me, Daniel? You forgot our anniversary. You brushed me off like it was nothing. I spent months planning that gift, and you couldn't even be bothered to remember the day." He shook his head. "I said I wanted to celebrate next month. I've been busy." "Busy," I repeated, the word tasting bitter. "You're always busy. There's always something more important than us." He stood up, running a hand through his hair. "I can't do this right now." "Of course you can't," I said, my voice breaking. "You never can." He grabbed his keys and left, the door slamming behind him. I stood in the kitchen, shaking, the weight of everything pressing down on me. That night, I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, my phone buzzing with more notifications. People were sharing their own stories, their own heartbreaks. Some were angry on my behalf, others just wanted to be part of the drama. I felt both seen and invisible, like my pain had been swallowed up by the internet and spit back out as entertainment. The next morning, the story had gone national. A popular talk show host mentioned my video in her opening monologue. "Sometimes, the best gift you can give yourself is letting go," she said, her audience clapping. I watched the clip in disbelief. My life reduced to a soundbite. Daniel still hadn't come home. He texted me once. "I need some space." I didn't reply. I didn't know what to say. Mia came over that evening, bringing takeout and a bottle of wine. We sat on the couch, eating straight from the containers, watching the video play on the news. "Do you regret it?" she asked, her voice soft. I thought about it, about the gift, the video, the fallout, about Daniel, about us. I don't know, I admitted. I just wanted to feel like I mattered, like I wasn't invisible. She squeezed my hand. You do matter. And you're not invisible. Not anymore. We sat in silence, the weight of everything settling around us. I didn't know what would happen next. I didn't know if Daniel and I would make it, or if this was the end. All I knew was that for the first time in a long time, I'd done something for myself. And maybe that was enough. The days that followed felt surreal, like I was living someone else's life. My phone never stopped buzzing. There were interview requests, messages from strangers, even a few offers from brands wanting to collaborate on self-care campaigns. I ignored them all. I didn't want to be a symbol or a meme. I just wanted my life back. Daniel stayed away for 3 days. I didn't know where he was, maybe at a friend's, maybe at a hotel. I tried not to care, but every time I heard a car outside, my heart jumped. I kept replaying our last conversation in my head, wondering if I'd gone too far, if I'd made things worse than they needed to be. But then I'd remember the look on his face when he realized the world knew he'd forgotten our anniversary, and I'd feel a strange mix of guilt and vindication. On the 4th day, he came home. I was sitting at the kitchen table, scrolling through emails, when I heard the door open. He looked exhausted, his eyes ringed with dark circles, his hair unkempt. He didn't say anything at first, just set his bag down and stood there, looking at me like he was seeing me for the first time. I saw the video again, he said finally, his voice quiet. I read some of the comments. I nodded, not trusting myself to speak. He sat down across from me, folding his hands on the table. I didn't realize how much I'd been taking you for granted. I thought I was just busy, that you understood. But I see now that I was wrong. I wanted to believe him. I wanted to reach across the table and take his hand, to tell him it was okay, that we could start over. But something held me back. I'm sorry, he said, his voice breaking. I'm sorry I forgot. I'm sorry I made you feel invisible. I'm sorry I made you feel like you had to go to the internet to be heard. I looked at him, really looked at him, and for the first time in a long time, I saw the man I'd fallen in love with, vulnerable, flawed, trying to make things right. I didn't do it to hurt you, I said softly. I needed to do something for myself. I needed to feel like I mattered. He nodded. I get that now. I do. And I want to fix this. I want to fix us. We sat in silence, the weight of everything between us. I thought about all the years we'd spent together, the good times and the bad. I thought about the watch, the engraving, the way I'd imagined his face lighting up when he saw it. I thought about the video, the comments, the strangers who'd made me feel seen. I don't know if we can just go back to the way things were, I said finally. Too much has happened. He reached across the table, his hand trembling. Maybe we don't have to go back. Maybe we can start over. I took his hand, feeling the warmth of his skin, the familiar calluses on his fingers. For a moment, I let myself hope. We spent the next few hours talking, really talking, for the first time in months. We talked about work, about stress, about how easy it is to let life get in the way of love. We talked about the things we'd both been holding back, the resentments and disappointments that had built up over time. We talked about what we wanted, what we needed, what we were willing to do to make things better. It wasn't easy. There were tears, there was anger, there was a lot of uncomfortable honesty, but there was also laughter and hope and a sense that maybe, just maybe, we could find our way back to each other. That night, Daniel cooked dinner. Nothing fancy, just pasta and salad. But it was the first meal we'd shared in days. We ate in the living room, watching old sitcoms, pretending for a little while that everything was normal. After dinner, he pulled out his phone and showed me a message from his mom. "She says she's proud of you," he said, smiling. "She says you reminded her what it means to stand up for yourself." I laughed, feeling a weight lift from my shoulders. Maybe I reminded myself too. The days that followed were quieter. The internet moved on, as it always does. New scandals, new stories, new main characters. My video faded into the background, replaced by the next viral moment, but the changes in our marriage lingered. Daniel started coming home earlier. He made an effort to be present, to listen, to show up in ways he hadn't before. I started speaking up more, asking for what I needed instead of hoping he'd just know. We went to counseling, worked through the things we'd been avoiding. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. Sometimes I'd catch him looking at me across the room, a soft smile on his face, and I'd remember the man I'd fallen in love with. Sometimes I'd look in the mirror and see a woman who wasn't afraid to take up space, to demand more, to be seen. One afternoon, a few weeks later, I got a letter from the shelter. They'd used the store credit from the watch to buy supplies for the women and children staying there. The director wrote, "Your gift reminded us that even small acts of kindness can make a big difference. Thank you for thinking of us on your special day." I read the letter out loud to Daniel, and for the first time, I felt truly at peace with what I'd done. Our anniversary wasn't what I'd planned. It wasn't flowers and fancy dinners and engraved watches. It was messy and painful and public in a way I never wanted. But it was also honest. It forced us to face the truth about our marriage, about ourselves, about what we needed to change. If you'd told me a month ago that a returned gift and a viral video would save my marriage, I would have laughed. But sometimes, the things that break us open are the things that let the light in. And as I sat there holding Daniel's hand, I realized that maybe, just maybe, this was the best anniversary gift of all.